Hello. Another roundup, or whatever I've landed on calling these things now. Yeah, it was a very interesting weekend for Lorcana. I'd say it was one of the better ones. I was really involved. Got to play like locally with some friends and get some more testing done. When the regionals get active, all the discords get really active, and everyone's just like quite excited about it. So it was a really good fun weekend for Lorcana. Lots of Twitch as well. So even if you're just at home, you can still feel quite involved. So yeah, and going through, I've tried to sort of look at some set five lists and some set five events going on. There was a lot of winner boxes, winner cases. There was one in London in Brotherhood Games, which has got a 52-man winner case. I believe they split in the top four, but we don't have the data on Inkdex yet, or I can't find it. So I won't say anything that's not, officially been posted on Inkdex yet. And looking at the other events, still seems fairly minor. It looks like people are still in the realm of testing things out. I'm seeing a lot of cheater lists. I don't know how long they'll stick, especially if you're sort of reliant on your draw being on a 2-1 against Steel Song or I don't know, even a RP that has a brawl. So I don't know how long they'll stick around, but it's nice to see people trying things out. I've seen 4x, seen faster lists as well. I've seen loads of stuff in set five, so I think we're still fairly in the trying things out yet. Maybe just haven't had big enough events with 50 to 100 people, where you can really run a gauntlet on a list and see what's actually working, what's not. But yeah, that being said, I've still got my mind on where I want my list, and I'll cover that at the end. But I have to talk about Toronto. We had two guys in top four with Blue Steel, and they did amazingly well. And it was really recommend watching their VODs on the if you can find them on YouTube. I don't know how to do the VODs really. I think they're just people record them, so just put in Toronto Day 2 Lorcana and you'll probably find them. Really worth watching. Some interesting matchups there, just how they navigated it. And you've got to as well respect that it's quite an endurance thing doing a regional and getting to top four. Day one they'll have 9 rounds of Swiss, and they'll be playing, nail biting to try and make sure they get cut. And then they've got to go back, sleep, probably, be on a quite high from all the excitement of getting that far. And then go and just go, round after knockout round from 64 down to 4. So it's yeah, watching them play. It just also take into account, the level they're playing at and the stakes and stuff like that. It's quite a lot for some people. I know it is for me. Whenever I've gone further into events, sadly I haven't gone further into regionals yet, but we've still got Birmingham, so we'll see what we do with that. But yeah, with all of the uh, sort of the games we watched, they're really worth watching on day two. I'm getting too excited talking about Blue Steel VODs. One I'd also recommended watching is on the day one. Jeebus played in round one versus an RP, and it's really worth watching if you want to sort of get tips on that matchup. He played exactly to all of his outs in every moment of that matchup. He was even using things like Let It Go on a Fox to deny one questing law. Just things like that where you wouldn't necessarily think to Let It Go such a low cost character, but it did deny them one extra law. And things like when the opponent bounced the goat to hand, he would wheel because you would know that they have a goat in hand, so you just wheel, and that changes the chances of them having another goat or a bounce or something like that. Because if you're aware from the hand knowledge that because they've just bounced the goat, they have it. If you wheel them, they might not have a goat, and if you keep track of things, what's been inked, what's been discarded from previous wheels, you can kind of get a sense of when to wheel appropriately. So really watch that. I really recommend it if you can find the VOD anywhere. But yeah, going into the decks as well. It's interesting to watch. One, I would say this gentleman, he was dressed up as Mandalorian, the Star Wars guy. Wasn't wearing the helmet, sadly, which would have been really epic, but lovely, lovely guy. And yeah, it's sort of standard blue steel. I think Tune Post made it into my list for set five. That's more of because the approach I'm trying to do with a different card, and it was all working together quite well. So yeah, it's nice to see it there. Nice to see the Gaston get a lot of play. If you watch the games as well, Gaston put in work every time it was put on the board. Being a dime target for 3 and also giving them that card draw. So yeah, really overperformed quite well in this set 4 meta. Really great card, and it's something else to mention. This chap got third in the event. He was running 65 cards, and this is not the first time as well. In Bochum as well, another gentleman got top 4 with Blue Steel and running 62 cards, I believe. And we actually look at the other list as well that got cut. They had 62 cards in their deck, and this is just good information. I'm not going to sit here and say, it's the right thing to go over 60, and you can go over 60 as much as you like. But I'm also not saying it's bad. It's proven there's now proof quite multiple times that going over 60 is not the end of the world. So if you need to fit a card in, or you really want to fit a card in, don't be afraid to go over that 60. Of course, just statistically looking at it, if you wanted to get a quill in an opening hand and you mulligan, let's say you just mulligan seven, you draw seven, you didn't get it, and you mulligan seven. If you have more than 60 cards, the odds of you getting the quill in that opening hand don't drastically drop, but will drop a percent each time that you've had an extra card because you've got just extra cards to dig through. And also later on in the game, if you haven't drawn dime and you've got set amount of cards in the deck, the more cards that you have in the deck mean your percentage to draw into the dime will go down as well, just mathematically. But in practice, these things don't mean the world. They're only percentages. If your percentage chance drops because you've got 62 cards by about 3% or something like that, but you get to include just amazingly other powerful cards. There's a bit of give and take with that. So yeah, I'm most likely still going to stick with 60. If there's a card I really want in there, I might try it 61, 62. But I'm just saying, yeah, don't be afraid to go over it. And of course, everyone's got their own deck building. And what I've noticed really, talking to the Blue Steel players, because I talked to some of the guys after the regionals, sometimes people say hello and stuff. I just talk to a lot of people about Lorcana really. And what I really liked about Blue Steel players is the deck's never been this S tier, meta chasers are going to take it and win. And especially at Toronto, where Bucky had just basically gone from the meta because of the errata change. So we'd actually lost one of our positive matchups. A lot of people were bragging that Blue Steel goes into Green Steel very well because we've got Grab Your Swords and Tinkerbell and all these things to deal with their board. But a lot of the Blue Steel players that I talk to, they just love the deck. That's why they play it. They don't they're not going, oh, I heard this would be the best for this event. Some people do. I'm sure there are players that will do that, but every Blue Steel player that I talk to that, is to a point where they get interviewed because they've done really well, they're just like, hey, I've been playing this since I started Lorcana. I really like the deck and I really enjoy it. And I think that's really awesome. Of course, other decks have that as well. There's loads of RP players that are just hardcore RP players, and I just love RP. I've played it since wherever, and they won't quit it. And I'm sure there's the same for RB and Amber Steel as well. But I always find great joy in talking to Blue Steel players because the majority of them are just playing it because they enjoy the deck and they have a really good fun time with it and they think they're very confident on it and they just like the deck. And I just think that's something worth noting really. That it's never been like the way Bucky was a deck that people were meta chasing for. That it was that deck was try. I mean, for the fact that they were errata banning it proves that it was quite a good deck, really. If you've got to remove the card that was very good from the game, that proves that the deck was very good. So there was a lot of players that meta chased for it, and there's a lot of players, I believe, going to Steel Song right now because Daisy is being hyped to be very good. And let's be honest, if you played against Daisy and they double Daisy you turn one and turn two, you're in a really rough spot there. So I don't blame people for joining that deck if that's your sort of the way you play. You just like to play the most powerful deck. One card as well to notice in here, and there's another one as well. A gentleman said on stream, but I'll just talk about Pyros first. That's a really cool card. I assume it's not for Amber Steel. I assume maybe for Red Purple. But getting to reset, and that's just a different sort of 5-drop to use. So that's just interesting. That'd actually be nice to see what the tech choice was for that, because they just don't see that much in other lists. And I did see a gentleman on stream mention that he was using a set 1 Kronk, which is a 6/6 that has resist, I believe, 1. On play, it doesn't do anything. It does not, but it does the same effect as Tinkerbell when it takes something out. You can deal damage to other characters. And I believe it was just to play around Zeus, because a lot of the times you play your Tinkerbell out, and if you don't have a Cogsworth set up, you just go, I hope this doesn't get Zeused. So yeah, it was just this thing that you could play down, and it survives. A lot of people as well are trying to play the Hercules, the 6/5 that has resist and bodyguard, because in the same way, you put it on the board, it's going to start making problems for people, and it's just not going to get Zeus straight away. Of course, a Zeus, a Let It Storm Rage on a Zeus, you can still do it. It doesn't have ward, but you're going to make something that's not instantly. They pay 4 ink to remove your 6 cost, so instantly making problems there, making it a bit harder for them. So yeah, I think not Storm Rage on. I think Hercules has better resist than that. I can't remember exactly because I don't really play the card much, but yeah. I kind of like that, if you're thinking Steel Song's very strong, and a lot of Steel Song lists play 4x of 4x of it, you can just be like, okay, I'm gonna play cards that just don't get Zeused, because that's all I want to really do. And then it'll go back to their turn, and like, well, usually I play Zeus here to deal with the character you've played, but I can't now. So yeah, I think those were interesting tech choices, and they were very much playing into the meta. With Lemon Lime taking the front runner, and that was an amazing fight. I think that's probably one of my favorite finals to watch. You know, I'm not spoiling it for anyone. I'm just going to talk about it because I'm talking about the meta roundup. So hopefully you've watched it. But if not, go watch it now and come back to this video. But dropping the game one, Lemon Lime into Steel Song, I think that's quite even in aspects. The Lemon Lime has to run really hot with the discard, and Steel Song, needs to be able to just, keep wheeling and getting things going to keep flooding and having a strong hand because of the aggressive discarding. So that was just very interesting to watch the back and forth with that. And, just the turn two play Ursula, shift your Diablo, sing bare necessities to take out two songs from a Steel Song player was just phenomenal. I loved watching it. And of course, you can change that to a sudden chill instead of a bare necessities if you're playing against a deck that might not have many non-character cards in hand. So yeah, it was, and of course you get you can turn one hand knowledge from the Diablo, so you know if that player is worth following. So yeah, just very interesting to watch. And like I say, both these decks are very, very nice and are worth checking out. And it's also worth mentioning one is a Mickey and one is a one jump ahead. Both bringing their own strengths. Of course, I've swapped to the old Tippo, so the debate on what is the best alternate ramp card to Quill is sort of changing a bit. And at this point, I don't think there really is one. I think they've all got their own strengths, especially Tippo shrinking your hand, Mickey not shrinking your hand, and you get a character. One jump, you get it on two, so you can do a Hiram line the next turn. So yeah, just very, very cool list, very much worth watching if you get a chance to check out the VODs. Yeah, and I'll just round it off with sort of where I'm at my list. Oh, here we go. I can put it on a bigger screen so people can actually see it. Um, yeah, we're sort of trying a lot of things out, but I'm just finding Pete right now is just overperforming beyond any measures because I think it's a new interaction in the game. I mean, I did a video on Pete yesterday. It's a new thing in the game. Of course, we've had interrupt cards and stuff like that, like Reckless, and of course, if you have the big Ursula, you can't sing songs. But to be like, if you say to your opponent, I played one today, and the opponent was very much set up to play a card, sing a card, and that was like their best turn on that turn. And you play Pete, and it stops them doing it. And then the next turn, of course, they would like to have done something else, but all they've done is try to do that turn and not done it because they can't do any of the actions. And of course, Pete as well later on in the game, if you were to play Ariel and Pete and you know they have 7 ink against a red player and they might be able to be prepared, you're going to get it to stick and you're going to get a bunch of lore from it. And if you can follow up with another Pete or something, that's just even more value. Or, follow up with a dime tapper, get 10 lore. So he's just been very versatile, especially as well because Blue Steel, to use our ramp, we sort of forfeit that early pressure. We aren't playing like his character, his character. We're not going to go Cinderella, Smee, Ariel, like a AS player. Is that we're not out of the race running. Our turn one will be a Porpsicle, not even a character on board sometimes. And our turn two, now you can do a Tippo to get that ramp locked in. And then on turn three, I found it's quite nice to play a Pete, and then with that extra ink, you can do a Fire the Cannons if you want to, or play another Porpsicle. And then on board, you've got 2 characters. They're not the strongest characters, but you've managed to say, hold on a second, I've done my ramp, and just give me a second to sort of catch up here. And then of course they won't be able to react and take out your characters. Unless they've got something insane like the 2/5 Elsa that exerts and then rush everything. I don't know. They'd have to have something weird with character interactions, but I don't think they can do it. And then you can be like, all right, and then I'll set up a Cogsworth, and now it's your turn again. And it's say if you're against an Amber Steel, they might have wanted to wheel, but they couldn't have wheeled. They've had to wait another turn, and you're like, how am my Cogsworth? Now you can wheel, and then they'll wheel, and you've just got this strong board of a Cogsworth that can sing. You've got a 3/3, a 1/2. That's enough to take out a Daisy, or you can take out their Ariel if they don't deal with the Pete. So I just find he's been very good to do that. Like, let's take a breather. And there's a lot of action-based cards as well. I say this against Amber Steel Song, but against Lemon Lime as well, you can be like, and I just want to take a turn where you've got to sit with the cards in your hand, and then it will come back to me. Yeah, so he's very good to play early on. Later on, to protect your characters, he's been overperforming. Chien Pal's been very good as well. A card I just don't really love because it doesn't quest for 2. But at this point, when Ariel is your finisher, getting you so much lore, you don't really care. I think I could even see myself going to 3 Ariels because the player's just been so strong. And I just never want to miss it. Maybe I've just been lucky on drawing the Ariels right at the right time, but maybe 3. 2 has felt alright. I'm sort of going into the same aspect as a dime. 2 dimes feels right. three diamonds would feel wrong, two aerials maybe is right, three aerials might feel wrong. So right now it's still performing well. I haven't read really any reason to change the list. I'm winning. I'm at like a 73% win rate on Dreamboard on Connect, not Dreamborn, and just yeah doing well at sort of locals and stuff like that with this build. And as well, Chien Power is just this uh, the more I play him, he's just awkward. You're not going to want to Hades it. You don't really want to Zeus and do a lot of damage to it. It's not really getting you much lore, so it's not bothering you much, but it is bodyguard, and it can sing Whole New World, and it can trade quite heavily with that 4 attack into a lot of things. So, it's just this awkward thing that they're just going to have to deal with at some point. And I've been opting to play him sometimes on turns over the Cogsworth if the matchup demands it. And he's just done so well. But even you can get to a point where you've got Cogsworth, Chien Pao, Aerial. You could say you have like a Smee or something as well, or some other drop, and you can put the Fortisphere on the Smee. Turn everything sideways. For the force fit to body block, you've got two bodyguards there. If you could find a Pete and you have the ink on top, there's just a situation where there's no way they could clear the board. It's just quite, just quite destroying really. It's very strong points to put in. I've been too scared to drop down the Along Came Zeus. I'm seeing a lot of people drop all of them, but sometimes I've been able to just go turn one Tippo, then just play a Zeus on an aerial, and that's been enough to win me the game because they'll be two ink away or one ink away from actually even hard casting the Zeus, the hard casting the Whole New World, or whatever they want to play. So it's just even that, just throwing people off curve and being like, I can afford to do this. Can you? And then just setting up the next turn of Cogsworth or a Chiempo or getting a Hiram draw set up and one of their singers is gone because a lot of decks right now, or Lemon and Lime and Amber Steel Song, are very reliant on Aerial sticking around to do a lot of their singing. So just being like, and I delete it. This is a really clunky turn because my whole turn is just playing a Zeus on your Aerial, but it's doing the job. So I've been keeping it in, but I can see other people dropping it. It's not the cleanest way to deal with it, but getting Aerial wheeled very hard or Aerial Bruno or Under the Sea or whatever mad stuff the Ariel's going to sing is even worse. So it's just been a clean answer and it's gone. You could probably try Smash Out, but I like Along Came Zeus because it just cost my 4 ink. And then as well, later on in the game, other things can sing it. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go Porp, Tippo, set up Hiram for the draw, then they'll play something, and then I'll let Hiram sing Zeus. It's yeah, that's kind of why I was enjoying Tala. Actually, in the weirdest way, if Pete cost 4 ink, I would be really, really grateful for that, but he only cost 3. I know it's weird to say if he cost more, I'd like him more, but he'd play Along Came Zeus quite strong. So yeah, this deck's just been performing quite well. I think we're like ninth or 8th on the Connect ladder, which isn't always the best data because a lot of people are just testing decks out and a lot of people are new to the game on there. But it's still data and it's what I have to go off. And local league as well, like I say, I've been enjoying the deck. And we've got a good spread at my locals as well. So yeah, that's just everything sort of up to date, really, I think. So thanks.